The panel gadget is a very simple decorative gadget that can be used to group other gadgets together visually. Note that this grouping is visual only. Other gadgets are not put inside the panel. They are just laid down on top of it and are still independent gadgets. The panel gadget consists of only standard background and label tabs and an options tab. All of these settings work the same as with any other gadget. While the panel does not require that a property be attached to it, it is supported, and the @ codes can be used in the label as well. I'll set it to display the object name and value. One special use the panel has that may not be immediately obvious is as a reflection over a collection of other gadgets. To demonstrate this, I'll load the clipboard with a group of objects I saved earlier. This is a panel gadget with 8 LED gadgets placed on top of it. Now, the reflection-only example panel can be placed over the top of it. This will give the whole group of gadgets a single reflection. One important setting when using the panel in this manner is ignore pointer events. Checking this setting will cause the reflection panel to ignore any mouse clicks or drags, allowing the gadgets under the reflection to be clicked. The GaugeRadial gadget displays the value of an analog property in a gauge similar to a speedometer. Several different styles are provided as templates. One of these examples should be appropriate to use as the starting point in most instances. I'll just use the default for this demonstration, which is a simple 270-degree arc with a scale of 0 to 100. The GaugeRadial has the most settings of any gadget, but most of them are cosmetic only and can often be left at the default. It uses several standard tabs, as well as scale and gauge tabs. Often, one of the examples can be used by just changing the scale's minimum and maximum values. The major steps setting may also need changed if the new scale values cause an unusual increment of the numbers. I'll leave it at the default scale of 0 to 100 for now. I'm also going to disable the caption because as you change the settings of the gauge, the caption will often need moved as well. The caption will just get in the way as we are experimenting with settings. There are 3 options for the pointer style. The default is the line shape, to mimic a thin needle. The next option is the triangle, which is another needle style. The remaining options are the floating inward and floating outward styles. These are both smaller triangles that appear to float and can point either inward toward the center of the gauge or outward toward the scale numbers. The pointer size controls the thickness of the pointer, and its length can also be changed. And of course, the color can be changed as well. The individual range markers can be shown or hidden by checking the appropriate boxes. The size of the gadget is set as a percentage of the gadget size. The face color, the color of the gauge's background, can also be customized. Keep in mind that if the face color is changed, the scale font color should not be left at the default, as the default font color can change with the user's selected theme, and it could make the numbers hard to read. The outline is the line going around the outside of the gauge. Both its width and color may be changed here. And the position of the gauge within the gadget bounds may be fine-tuned with the X and Y offsets. Moving over to the Scale tab, the first setting is the Position. This controls where the center of the gauge will be placed. The position, combined with the starting and ending angles, is how different arcs and styles are created. Let's move it back to the center for now. The starting and ending angles control where the scale starts and ends, with 0 being to the right and going up in a clockwise direction, this being 45 degrees, 90, 135, 180, and so on. For example, changing the starting angle to 180 gives us this. The direction can be used to reverse the direction of the scale. The default is clockwise. Setting it to counterclockwise reverses the scale, range markers, and pointer movement. But now, the scale is only 90 degrees, going from 135 down to 45. So, let's change the ending angle to something reasonable. I'll undo all of the changes so far as we move on to the other settings. The minimum and maximum values control the values on the scale. The scale numbers may be placed either outside or inside the tick marks and range markers. This is strictly a cosmetic choice and has no effect on the operation of the gauge. The tick marks can be connected with a line or be freestanding. The major steps setting controls how many numbers and major ticks appear on the scale. There will always be one more of each than the number of major steps. The minor steps are the number of steps between each major step. There will always be one less minor tick than the number of minor steps. The colors of both the major and minor ticks can be changed here, along with the length of the major ticks. The minor ticks will always be half the length of the major ticks. And finally, the decimal places setting controls how many decimal places are used with the scale numbers. If this is raised above 0, it may be necessary to make the scale font smaller or make the gauge larger.